everyone, welcome back. I am Namna Kharal and today's video is about the top 6 drugs that you must know for the NCLEX. This is my third video and this is the part 1 where I will be including only 3 drugs, and in part 2 on next video I will be including the remaining 3 drugs. There are so many drugs that you have to study for the test, but I found these 6 drugs to be most common and more frequently asked. So I decided to include these 6 drugs, and don't forget to practice the NCLEX style question at the end of this video. So let's begin with lithium. We know that lithium is a drug that is used for bipolar disorder and it is an anti-manic drug. Here I have included the points to remember for the NCLEX. We should remember that therapeutic serum level of lithium is 0.6 to 1.2 milliequivalent per liter, and when the level rises greater than 1.5, that is considered to be toxic. So we should remember these two numbers, 0.6 to 1.2 and greater than 1.5. And it is a pregnancy category D drug, means it can lead to fetal toxicity because it can pass the placental barrier and can affect the growing fetus. They may give us the options and we have to find out which of the following drugs are not good to give in pregnancy. Some of the drug is lithium. It can lead to the defect which is called the Epstein anomaly. So remember this name as well. Epstein anomaly is the defect in the heart or the defect in the tricuspid valve of the fetus. And these are the major 2 conditions that can lead to lithium toxicity. We have to remember diuretic, dehydration and decreased salt intake, because when the patient is extremely dehydrated, it can lead to increased absorption of lithium in the blood, so that can lead to lithium toxicity. And also remember that decreased salt intake also lead to lithium toxicity. So we have to maintain adequate hydration and adequate salt intake. They might give us the question like, the patient has been started lithium therapy and which of the following statement by the patient indicates the understanding about the lithium therapy. And suppose if they give us the options like, I have to discontinue my sodium intake or the salt intake. And the second option would be like, I can still continue my salty foods. So in that condition, our answer would be the second one, right? Because sodium intake is decreased, it can lead to lithium toxicity. So our answer would be the patient can still continue eating the salty foods. So in this way, we have to relate sodium with lithium. Here I have included the side effects of lithium therapy. So the arrow is going up, right? So it is increased. So we have 5 things increased when the patient is on lithium therapy. First one is leukocytes, that is increase in WBC. Second one is urine, that is polyuria. Third one is thirst due to dry mouth. And the fourth one is increase in weight, and the fifth one is increase in hand tremor. So also remember this for the test. They might give this insert a question. So there is increased urination and increase in thirst as well, which looks like the sign of diabetes insipidus. And the long-term side effect of lithium therapy would be hypothyroidism. This is also important for the test. When the patient is continued lithium for a longer period of time, this can lead to decreased production of thyroid hormones. Now let's move on to another drug, heparin, which is an anticoagulant. It can be given intravenously or subcutaneously. It is not given orally. And we have to remember that aspirin increases the effectiveness of heparin, because aspirin and heparin both increases the risk of bleeding. So any drug that can increase the risk of bleeding can increase the effectiveness of heparin. In the points to remember, heparin prevents the new clot formation, which means when the clot is already existing in the bloodstream, heparin does not dissolve that clot but only prevents the formation of new clot. And it is okay to give in pregnancy. Lithium was contraindicated in pregnancy, but heparin is okay to give in pregnancy because it does not cross the placental barrier. And the antidote for heparin is protamine sulfate. Antidote means when the level of heparin rises in the bloodstream, and to reverse the effect of heparin, we give the antidote protamine sulfate. So remember this name as well. When the patient is on heparin therapy, we have to monitor the APTT level, that is activated partial thromboplastin time, which is related to the coagulation of the blood. And the normal APTT level is 30 to 40 seconds. This value is for the patient who is not on heparin therapy. And when the patient is started therapy, the therapeutic value should be 1.5 to 2.5 times the normal, to 1.5 to 2.5 times this value. So the value is going to be 60 to 80 seconds. And how I remember this was, in between 1.5 and 2.5 we have 2. And the therapeutic value is 1.5 to 2.5 times the normal, right? So this is a normal. Suppose if you multiply this by 2, which is going to be 30 into 2 60, 40 into 2 is 80. So 60 to 80. So this value 60 to 80 measures the effectiveness of heparin in the blood. And when the value is less than 60, we have to increase the dose of heparin, and when it is more than 80, we have to decrease the dose of heparin. Now, the next important drug is ACE inhibitor, which is an antihypertensive drug. So, ACE refers to angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor. All the drugs in this group ends with pril. So, here is captopril, lisinopril, enalapril. For the NCLEX, we have to mainly remember the side effects of this drug. I have listed the major 3 side effects. Well, the first one is dry cough. We say dry hacking cough. And this occurs only with the ACE inhibitors, not with any other antihypertensive drugs. And the second one is angioedema, which means swelling of the face, lips, or the tongue, and that is the danger sign. When the condition worsens, it can even block the airway. So this is a danger sign, and we have to immediately notify the doctor. And the third side effect is hyperkalemia. We know that normal potassium level is 3.5 to 5. So when the patient is on ACE inhibitor, the potassium level rises above 5. So this is also one of the important NCLEX question. No potassium rich food and not even the SARS substitute for the patient who is on ACE inhibitor, because even the SARS substitute contains a little amount of potassium. When they give us the options related to SARS substitute, we may not think about potassium. I have also done that few times, but always remember that even SARS substitute contains little amount of potassium. And ACE inhibitor is no in pregnancy, so it's contraindicated in pregnancy. Among the 3 drugs that we have discussed today, ACE inhibitors and lithium are contraindicated in pregnancy, and heparin is okay for pregnancy. I have made this mnemonic ACE, A for angioedema, C for cough, and E for elevated potassium. So always remember these 3 major side effects of ACE inhibitor. Now let's do one practice question. A client with a clot in the right atrium is receiving a heparin infusion at 1000 units per hour. The morning lab result is APTT 32 seconds. The nurse should take which action based on the lab result? So we have been given 4 options. Collaborate with HCP to discontinue the heparin infusion. Collaborate with HCP to obtain the prescription to increase the heparin infusion. Third one is collaborate with HCP to withhold the heparin infusion. And fourth one is collaborate with HCP to continue the heparin infusion at the same rate. So the first one is to discontinue, the second one is to increase, the third one is withhold, and the fourth one is to continue at the same rate. So the question is asking us about the heparin, and the lab result is APTT. So we know that when the patient is on heparin therapy, you have to monitor the APTT value, and the therapeutic range is 60 to 80 seconds, right? 80 seconds. So when the patient is receiving the heparin therapy, the APTT should be 60 to 80 seconds, but the question is giving us 32 seconds, which means it is less than 60, right? So in this case, we have to increase the rate of heparin to maintain the therapeutic range between 60 and 80. So the correct answer is to increase the rate of heparin infusion. 2 is the correct answer. And if the rate was maintained between 60 and 80, we would have to continue the heparin infusion at the same rate. But in this condition, FTT is too low, so we have to obtain a prescription to increase the heparin infusion. In next video, which is the part 2 for the top 6 drugs for NCLEX, I'll be sharing the remaining 3 drugs. So keep watching and stay safe.